Hello, everybody. Verl Workman here, and welcome to RISmedia's Agent Webinar Series. What an exciting topic and an exciting group of people we have presenting today, and I want to welcome you all and thank you for being here. RISmedia does a fantastic job of not only bringing top agents in and sharing best practices, but also looking for innovators and people who are making a change and big difference in the way real estate is done. And we're excited to be announcing some pretty cool things today on today's webinar. So thanks for being here. Buckle up and get ready for an amazing webinar. I'm Verl Workman, founder and CEO of Workman Success Systems. Proud to be here as a moderator on the call today. Along with me as a co-host of today's call is Daryl McPherson, the Executive Vice President of RISmedia, who is not only one of the industry's most influential people, but also just a really good man. He's helped a lot of companies, a lot of brokerages, and a lot of firms really stay abreast of what's going on in the real estate industry and providing them with not only great content information, but true consulting and helping them, navigate the perilous waters of real estate. And Daryl, we're grateful that you're here today, and I hope that you'll engage and ask lots of questions and be an active participant.
Many thanks, Verl, and I'd like to welcome all of our listeners and subscribers. This is a historical moment for RISmedia where we get to introduce on a formal basis what Rocket Mortgage is all about and the impact it's going to have on the residential real estate vertical. So thanks, Verl, and really look forward to our event today.
Hey, we're glad that you're here. And everybody stay tuned to the very end of the webinar, just like is customary with every webinar that we do. At the end, we're going to provide you with some free downloads, some gifts, and also the easy access to be able to go back and rewatch this webinar with the link that's provided at the end. So we're going to give you some really cool things at the end, so please stay tuned for that. Let's just jump right in. I don't know how many of you watched the Super Bowl this year, but as I was watching the Super Bowl and I saw the Rocket Mortgage commercial, I thought, hey, I know those guys. And it was really fun to see the excitement and the enthusiasm around Rocket Mortgage, knowing that this was something that was coming up in the next couple of weeks. And we have a couple of great guests with us with Quicken Loans and the whole Rocket Mortgage launch. Yes.
Hey, Verl, this is Peter. Sorry, we're just not seeing your screen. I just wanted to make sure that that was being shared.
Oh, that's, yeah, you know what? Let's get that on right now. My GoToWebinar kind of had a little bit of a flaw there. Let's do this one more time.
No problem. There we go.
Okay. Tell me what you see now. Make sure we're all on the same page.
I see Tom Dempsey. Great.
Okay, perfect. So it's working. Sorry about that, everybody, and thanks, Peter, for jumping in. So let me introduce Tom Dempsey. Tom Dempsey is the Director of Business Development of Quicken Loans Relocation. He serves as the relocation and business development. He's a great guy. He spent the greater part of his career mentoring and inspiring others to achieve greatness through his leadership style, his contagious passion for success in whatever business he is working in. He's been in mortgage lending since 1999, so this is no rookie. A lot of his experience is collaborating internally on processes and technologies and systems that enhance the mortgage experience. His whole focus is, like many of those at Quicken, is creating that better mousetrap and making the whole process easier for everybody involved, from the consumer to the agent and everybody involved in that transaction. Tom has got an enormous amount of background and experience, and he's going to be sharing with us what some of the things that Quicken Loans is doing right now in the agent relationship world, as well as what's happening with Rocket Mortgage. Tom, welcome to the call. Thanks for being here, and we're excited that you're with us today.
Verl, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Love the enthusiasm. Let me also introduce, and then we'll jump right into some content, I want to introduce Regis Hadarius. And Regis, and I hope I said that right, with Rocket Mortgage. He's the project lead for Quicken Loans, Inc. And he's not only a really fun guy to talk to, this is a brilliant individual who leads the nation's largest online mortgage lender and the second largest retail lender. He's been with Quicken Loans since 2004. He oversees all aspects of this whole Rocket Mortgage platform, the very first end-to-end completely online mortgage experience, which you're going to hear a lot more about today. In his role, I think this is kind of fun as we were talking, he says he leads a technology group of 500 innovators who are obsessed with transforming the home loan experience and by making it fast, easy, and convenient. And those are three things that are really important to me, not only as a real estate practitioner, but as a consumer. I just want to get it, and I want to know what I can do, and I want to move to the next part of the transaction. And they're doing a phenomenal job of making that happen. Regis has a phenomenal background in not only with Quicken Loans, but with other Fortune 500 companies and startups and financial services and retail and e-commerce. He just has a wealth of knowledge and experience. He's been recognized by New York Times, Time Magazine, Forbes, TechCrunch, CNBC, the U.S. Navy, and many, many, many others. We're excited to have him. We're excited to have him share his expertise, his experience, and what's going on with Rocket Mortgage with us. One of the things that I think is most impressive about Regis is he's not just all about helping people be successful. He's all about getting back, and he's helped raise a lot of money for ALS. And I think it's really cool that you give back and not just are focused on the business side of things. So Regis, thanks for being here, and thanks for all that you do.
Burl, thanks for having me. I'm super excited on behalf of all those Obsessed team members to share the Rocket Mortgage story and give a glimpse into how Rocket Mortgage can help real estate agents today.
Well, they're in for a real treat when they see how the whole thing works. I want to start, Tom, by just kind of talking a little bit about how we as agents stay in the middle of this transaction in this whole move to the online mortgage experience.
Yeah, Earl. So we're the big show today is going to be Rocket Mortgage. But before we lead into that, it's important that we share some other technologies and some other things we have going that support the real estate agent community. And one of those things is called Agent Insight. So this is a phenomenal piece of technology. Did a lot of research and found that 77% of real estate agents are looking for communication, better communication from their lender. And over 60% of those want things to be faster and more efficient. So what better way to talk about Agent Insight and Rocket Mortgage today? Agent Insight gives real estate agents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week access into the client loan process. It's a platform that's supported on mobile or on web or iPads, whatever they may be. And simply by our clients giving consent to share information with their real estate agent, we're able to see very key milestones throughout the process. And the earlier we do that, the earlier we can start that high level of communication, the smoother the process can go. So Agent Insight is a phenomenal way. We've got agents using it all over the country right now, across all generations. So this isn't just stuff that millennials are looking for. This is information that people can get at their fingertips when they want it. Educational resources go there, notifications, closing information. It's really just that unmatched vision, that key piece of a complete closing transaction, right? So bringing the real estate agent in, seat at the table, all the information they need, and we're iterating on this too, Verl. So the best thing is as this continues to go, we'll be able to upload documents related to the process from the real estate agent right into the client's loan. So very, very excited about Agent Insight. We think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's really a cool tool.
Oh, sorry.
It's really simple. I was just going to say it's really a cool tool, and it's very simple to know what's going on during the loan process. And I don't want to have to actually reach out and talk to anybody. If I can just get on my app and look at it, that makes a big difference to me.
Absolutely, because then even if you have questions, Will, the best part is you know now how to funnel and what to ask for rather than having to call, find out what it is, and then kind of that back and forth on the telephone. So very excited about Agent Insight. But the best part about Agent Insight is because it doesn't tell the whole story. One of the other things at Quicken Loans was creating a dedicated agent relations team, a hotline, if you will, that direct single point of contact. So if you have a question about anything you're seeing on Agent Insight or you just can't get to Agent Insight, that dedicated team is there to support that part of the transaction, which is so critical in this regulatory environment and this compliance environment that's kind of got everybody tangled up in red tape. So trying to lay those two smooth things out, and then when we layer in Rocket Mortgage to this, it's going to be a win-win for everyone.
Hey, Tom, quick question. This is Daryl. In talking about teams, with so much growth and advancement in the team that are established right now within respective firms throughout the U.S., do you have multiple access for literally team members to see an individual loan status an individual customer, since it's more than the agent and those additional team members, what type of access do you have for multiple access?
It's a great question. So the first iteration of Agent Insight allows you to see the direct, listing or selling agent on there, but building out, a broker view or a team view so multiple people can see that is absolutely in the works. We've gotten that feedback. We've heard that feedback, and that's coming because information doesn't come just to the one agent. It's got to travel other places as well. So being able to provide that visibility will be huge. Perfect. So that's coming in iteration 2.
Gotcha.
And so on this slide that you're showing right here, it shows us what we see and what that looks like when I want to look in and see what the status is of the loan.
Absolutely, and this is all sortable now. So you can sort if you have 3 or 4 clients going through the process. You can sort by alphabetical. You could sort by the anticipated signing date, whatever that may be. But again, it creates more conversation, right? So now you can proactively reach out to your client and help better support the process as well if you see that something is missing or something is needed throughout the process. And that type of communication, that type of proactive approach on all levels makes the whole process go a lot smoother.
Very cool. So tell me about Jason.
So Jason's one of our agents that happens to be using Agent Insight right now. Jason is a very top agent out there in Arizona. Got over 120 million in sales, and he loves it. And this is just testimonial from him. We've got many more from other agents, but he can get things on his phone. He likes the efficiency and the direct communication, and it's time saving for him. We happen to live in a world right now where people want information how they want to get it, and as service providers to this type of approach, it's our job to be able to give that information and provide that when folks want it and how they want it. So it's across all mediums. And I know Regis is going to speak a lot to this about the mortgage process itself, but this also affects the other service providers involved in that mortgage process. They want that same type of information. So, you want to pick up the phone and call us? Absolutely. You want to look on your phone and do it on your own time? Even better, right? So we really look forward to pushing Agent Insight out to the community and tying it in with Rocket Mortgage and what it can do for the whole experience moving forward.
Just out of curiosity, what does it cost for an agent to sign up with Agent Insight to have that access to the tools and the technology and to be able to manage their whole platform in relation to their Quicken Loans?
Great question. $0.0.
Wait, let me write that down. How much too much is that? 0. I love that. All right.
$0.
So you go to quick. So there's on this slide right here, and I'm not going to show this again. I don't think this is displayed again today. So make sure you grab a screenshot or write it down. It's agent.quickenloans.com, and then go through the process and sign up so that you have access to it. After the Super Bowl commercial, the marketing play, the unbelievable amount of press that Quicken Loans is getting with their Rocket Mortgage, I promise you, your consumers, your clients, people that you're interacting with in your lead generation platforms are engaging with Quicken. And you've got to be an educated agent. You've got to know what's going on, and you need to be able to learn how to support them. And that's very much about what this is all about today.
Absolutely. It's still about the people, but the people need to put the right tools in the toolbox for everybody to use. And this is just another tool that will absolutely help and make the process better.
I love that. Well, I'm like chomping at the bit to get into a little bit into Rocket Mortgage and how Rocket Mortgage can help us. So let's jump right into it.
Absolutely. We're going to talk just on a couple slides here before we just gets into the demo. Exactly what Rocket Mortgage can do from the agent side of things, and that's important because people are again looking for information how they want it. But imagine that you could get a client approved at a showing, at an open house, in as little time as it takes, and Regis will show you that, or as long as they want, right? Folks go at their own speed. But you don't have to, you're somewhat eliminating that middleman of the lender providing you that pre-approval, right? We all have stories of pre-approvals over the years, whether they're good, whether they're not good, and the time it takes for you to get it emailed to you and that kind of stuff. But as a trusted professional who the client trusts probably the most in the transaction, to be able to sit down with them at a showing or in the evening or looking at homes and get approved. And on top of it, know exactly what they can qualify. And the two of you doing it together, right? Regis will talk a little bit as we go through the demo about once getting approved, what Rocket Mortgage can do in terms of reducing time. But we know that time is a key factor in the process, especially in the TRID process these days. Any days that we can save on processing better align and better support to meeting the compliance around TRID. So a lot of that can happen much, much early in the process before we even put pen to paper and go under contract. So you'll pick up on that as Regis goes through the demo as well.
So Tom, when I look at new technologies and new widgets and all the cool things that come out to real estate agents have a tendency to chase shiny objects. And I've kind of gotten simplistic in my view of how I look at products or technology. And the two things that are the most important to me are, number one is, will it make me money? Am I going to be able to apply this to my business to make money? And the second thing is, will it save me time? And the time one is a big one. And the amount of time we spend chasing things down and looking for things and not getting the right information is a big time waster. I call it taming the time thieves. And when you hit time and you hit it over and over again, that's one of the big advantages here. So closing deals makes me money, and not having to deal with all of the hassles involved in the transaction process, because I know I've got really good information at the point of contact with my client, is a big time saver. So those are two big ones to me as well.
Absolutely, and I think when we go through the demo, if we come back to that point you just made and talk about, will supporting this process save me time and make me money? I think you'll answer yes emphatically to both of those.
Awesome.
And as far as time, right? So you can spend more time with buyers that qualify and quickly identify those that don't, right? So you don't want to be chasing around non-qualified clients, right? Or, finding 22 days into the process that something's not going to work. From a borrower standpoint, this Rocket Mortgage will help with this. We've also done some other research, and we found that a lot of folks sit on the sidelines because they're just not comfortable calling a lender and giving all of the information they need to give to find out if they can qualify. They're apprehensive, right? But again, going back to the trusted professional, the real estate agent that the client is putting their faith in, they will speak to them, right? And they can use this tool to sit down with them, and you can do it over the kitchen table, right? And not have to expose, anything that may or may not have happened from a credit standpoint in years past and whether or not they qualify. They can do that kind of in their own privacy. They don't have to open that up to lenders to see. And I think that would be very valuable for a real estate agent when talking to folks that are just really unsure and apprehensive about taking that next step. And if they find they can't qualify and they are approved, then you can identify or unlock another level of home buying clients.
You guys do a lot of research. How much is the way millennials are affecting the home buying process playing into what you've developed and the direction you're going as a company?
That's a great question. We've given all the research duties to Regis.
Thanks, Tom. Bro, I can absolutely handle that one. So
nice pass. Nice pass.
We do a ton of market research on across the entire market to look and see what folks need and what needs are out there that aren't being fulfilled right now. And whether it's millennials or whether it's other segments of the market, we're constantly refining our approach based on what we learn. And one of the reasons we built Rocket Mortgage is because we saw that up to 60% of potential buyers were choosing to sit on the sidelines, not participate in the housing market. And when we went deeper on that, the number one reason was they were too intimidated by a cumbersome process that a lot of folks look at as confusing, complicated, and slow. So we fixed that with Rocket Mortgage, and we said, we're going to build something that's simple, fast, really smart, and responsible, and allow folks to be able to get approved anytime, anywhere, really on any device they choose.
Awesome. So the answer is a ton.
The answer is a ton. When we started this process about 3.5 years ago, we saw that that group of folks that's out there sitting on the sidelines right now, they're heavily engaged in using technology, heavily engaged in mobile devices, managing their finances using mobile devices, like to learn by doing, and really want to be able to do as much as they can on their phone or on their tablet or on their desktop computer, just like they can in other parts of their life. And so what we did with Rocket Mortgage was build a process that and an experience that does that. So as you can see here on the slide, it was the exclusive focus of 1,000 of those obsessed Quicken Loans team members for the past 18 months, and 2 years before that we had been working on it. We did some public betas, we did user research all over the country to make sure that we were building the right thing and that it would be well received in the market, which it has been.
I had the privilege of going through a demo and actually seeing it, and I see a lot of stuff, and I'm very slow to get excited about things or really to be, passionately moved by a technology. And I have to tell you that it blew me away at how simple it is, and to understand how complicated the mortgage process has always been. What you guys have done is awesome.
Thanks, Phil. I really appreciate that. I mean, when we looked at things, we said, out there in the market, people are confused because they're using a lot of mortgage calculators with assumptions. We said, no assumptions. Let's deliver customized solutions to folks. Let's let them be able to click a button to get a full approval online from Fannie or Freddie, FHA, VA. Let's let them import income and assets up front so that they don't have this big burden of proof later in the process, and really make the whole experience more efficient, simple, and really fast. So I think the best thing to do is probably just show it.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Peter, I'm going to ask you to change and give Regis the screen and let him demo from his screen.
Okay, Regis, you should have it now.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Looks like some things are changing here on my end.
Hey, Regis, while we're waiting for the screen change, just a quick question on the process itself with Rocket Mortgage. You mentioned that someone can go literally completely from application to closing without talking to anyone. How accurate is that?
It's absolutely possible. It doesn't mean that people aren't involved in the process, but we've built a set of tools for our clients to use in Rocket where they can, if they want to, go all the way through the application process and the approval process themselves. And then when they're in the underwriting process, we have tools in our MyQL system and mobile app where they get real-time updates and they can interact with Quicken Loans team members through those tools. They can upload documents just by taking pictures of them with their phone, that sort of thing. So there's a lot that really can happen. I guess the whole point is that we built this in a way so that people can have as much control over the experience as they want. If they want to self-serve, they can. If they want the help of our award-winning, 6-time J.D. Power award-winning mortgage banking team, they're there if a client wants that. They can do as much online, or they can transition to chat or offline via telephone if they want to as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, so Regis, set the scenario for me. This is a consumer going online. Could it be an agent sitting with a buyer, and we just need to know if they can qualify for I go out and show them a bunch of houses?
Yeah, let's start there, Bill. I think that's a great idea. An agent is sitting with a buyer. Let's say they have a computer there or a tablet or a phone, and that buyer wants to be in the, let's say, $220,000 range, and they want to know if they can be approved. What we'll do is we'll go through the experience here with that in mind. So I'm going to sign in with one of my demo accounts that I can use to show us the experience. Let's say they're a renter. We'll go down the renting path here. And the way Rocket Mortgage is set up, we basically collect a certain amount of information, no more than is needed, and then use a lot of our data sources that we have about properties, income, assets, and credit to be able to ask fewer questions and really deliver a fast experience to folks. So what I'm going to do is talk about my current living situation here. Say I don't have a home picked out yet. let's use that $220,000 amount and say I'm looking in Detroit. As most of the folks on the call know, we have
mansion.
we have a very strong interest in the resurgence of Detroit and bringing back a great American city. So we'll move there in this example. One other thing to show you guys here too is Rocket Mortgage is very dynamic. It asks more questions depending on the client's preferences and situation. So I'm going to say no to married, even though I am, and that I'm not interested in a VA or military loan here, just to go through the process a little more quickly. But if I said yes to either of those, the system then starts asking more questions accordingly. All right, we're at the My Money step. Basically what we can do here is manually enter information about current jobs, as you can see, previous jobs, or we can use this import feature here. And this is really where Rocket Mortgage starts to get pretty interesting, because we currently have coverage on over half of all working Americans, so we can get a verification of income right on the spot, and that income platform is growing every single month. So basically I'm going to put in a birthday and social security number here. The system is going to go out and try to find a match. It did, and you can see here this is one of my demo accounts, but it pulls back in things like employer name, job title, when employment start date, income information, employer information. I just have to fill in a few blanks here as a client, and I can save that and move forward. You can see here's the income information. What's happened behind the scenes is the system has imported a lot of data on income and now has a verification of income, and it's starting the process of making calculations. Because what we said here again with Rocket Mortgage is we don't want to deliver assumptions and mortgage calculator results. We want to deliver actual solutions for clients based on their situation. We're at assets now.
I'm not showing you 2 years tax returns or all my bank stubs now?
That's correct. That's exactly right. Here we are at assets, another great example. Clients can sign into, we support over 95% of financial institutions in the U.S. This is very similar to an experience like Mint, where you can connect to those accounts and then pick the accounts that you want to share. I'm going to click Share My Accounts here, and what's happened now is the system is importing this information about those asset accounts. And then remember, I mentioned control earlier. Clients can control how much of that particular account they would want to use towards their transaction. So here, I'm going to say $30,000 of the $80,000 savings. I don't want to take anything out of my checking, and I'm not using any gift funds. We're going to go next to the questions that our federal government wants us to ask on every loan, so we make sure that we do. I'm going to go through these really quickly for us. And then we have our government monitoring questions, which I'll skip and move on. So now we're at the credit step. And basically, as you can see here, we're on step 7. Step 8 is when I get my solution. And we haven't delivered any solutions yet because we've been collecting information. So we've got what the client wants to do. They want to be approved for $220,000. We know some information about their situation. We have a verification of income, a verification of assets. When we pull credit, the system is going to do a full tri-merge mortgage credit pull, analyze the credit report, not just the score, but also the history for things like collections, liens, foreclosures, bankruptcies, anything that might affect the options we can deliver to a client. And then it's going to look at the current products and pricing for Quicken Loans, this day, current rates, and mortgage underwriting guidelines to determine the options that make sense for the client in this situation. That's all going to happen when I click the button here. So I'm going to do that now. We have our countdown, and it looks like that happened in about 3 seconds. So one thing to remember here about Rocket Mortgage, we got a solution here. Remember, I said earlier, those folks that are sitting on the sidelines right now, they like to learn by doing and understand what their options are. They want to understand maybe if they had a 25-year term or a 20-year term, what that would mean. And you can see the numbers changing down below as I do this. What we've done is we've returned options based on the $30,000 that I said I wanted to use from my assets for the transaction. And now we are offering 3 different options: a lowest payment, a balanced cost and payment, or lowest upfront cost option. If we look at this lowest monthly payment option, and I expand to see details here, one of the things that we are super obsessed about is making everything really clear. If we show a number, we want our clients to understand what goes into that number and break it down so there's full transparency along the way. So that's what you can do here so folks really can choose and understand what their options are. One other thing just to mention really quick, everybody, is, we mentioned this works on any device, so all these screens look and function great whether it's a tablet, let's say, or a mobile phone.
Very nice.
Now, if I'm not approved, what will the screen show?
Well, it depends on what may have been the reason for not being able to approve you. So, in a lot of situations, there are things we can do, and so we may intervene with a recommendation to talk to a mortgage banker on the telephone or over chat. And the system always is very clear. If it can't get a client to this point, it's very clear on why and what the client's next steps are. We save all the information, so any conversation or chat is super fast and super efficient.
It almost feels too good to be true. Like somebody, we're really good at lead generation. We're really good at bringing buyers in, and so many of our agents will go out and show houses while they're waiting for an approval and waste 20 hours with a client without even getting an approval. And we teach them, I need to have the buyer go through this process before I put you in my car, because I'd rather be at my kid's soccer game. So, understanding that this is available, and we just went through an entire process and got an approval in minutes. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and actually I think what I'll do here, Varel, is I'll click the See If I'm Approved button and show everybody what happens next. So when I do that, what's happening here is Rocket Mortgage is analyzing the option that was selected by the client, running all the different checks we have to run on it for compliance purposes, qualified mortgage, making sure that from an underwriting standpoint it all makes sense, and then submitting it through our automated underwriting engine where we get back an actual approval from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, or VA, depending on the type of loan that the client selected here. So that's what the system does at this step with that click of a button, and then delivers the results here on the screen. So you can see here in the situation, I'm approved. Now I can go get my pre-approval letter in our My Quicken Loans platform, download it, provide it to my agent, and start making offers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's so many applications here, and I just think that as an industry, the consumer is hearing about this. They're hearing about it. They're going there. They're going through the approval process. And as agents, we have to be very, very aware of what Quicken Loans is, who they are, and how they're streamlining this process to make it easier for everybody involved in the transaction.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned earlier about the time that this can save for agents and for consumers, and really that was one of our big things was, people are busy living their lives, and the last thing they want to do is take a lot of time out of their life, to be able to figure out if they're approved. And so we really built something here that you can use any time of day or night, on any device you choose, so that it fits into those points in your life when you're waiting in a waiting room, or when you have a little downtime after the kids have gone to bed, or whatever it might be.
Earl, did you have a question or comment?
No, just a question. Yes, for Regis. When obviously the people that go through without any hurdles at all, Regis, what is the most common reason for someone needing to opt out to talk to a mortgage banker about a challenge or issue with the process?
Today, it kind of depends on if it's a refinance transaction versus a purchase transaction. Here you can see we've gone through purchase. The number one stopping point right now is folks that don't currently own a home, don't rent. They get stopped earlier in the experience because we have to ask them some additional questions. That's actually that stopper in the experience, if you will, is going to be removed here before the end of the month, and so that'll let people go through. After that, it really comes down to qualifying and credit and their credit history and what we can do in those different types of scenarios. That's why we really wanted to build something where people were able to get actual answers based on their scenario and get really customized solutions instead of providing quotes that don't mean too much until we do the thorough analysis that we do here in Rocket Mortgage.
Thank you.
You know, I want to jump in, Reed, because you bring up some interesting things when you talk about customized solutions and all of that good stuff. And I think as real estate agents, the ability to walk through these options with your clients and be involved and create more of that bond and that rapport while they're going through this, I think it's a huge win. You know, you literally get, you know, passenger view right into what's going on and what's happening versus things that, you know, typically happen now over the phone and can take, you know, days or weeks to get to you.
Regis, are you able to hear me? Sometimes there's a little pause on your reply.
I am now, Verl. Yep.
Okay, good. Good. All right, sorry, is there anything else you wanted to demo on this screen here?
No, I think you guys can take back control of the screen there and go back to the presentation. One other thing to mention, just because we talked about it briefly, was that on the refinance side of the experience, a client can actually go further. We're stopping here at a pre-approval letter. They can actually lock their interest rate and go right into e-signing their loan application too. Just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let me go back to my screen share. Make sure you're seeing the right screen. While you're doing that, just I'm monitoring questions. There's a lot of questions coming in from the people that are watching the webinar. You're welcome to post your questions as they come in. Let me just throw out a couple questions. Somebody asked the question, what happens when you go to Quicken Loans? If you just go to a Quicken Loans website, is that the same experience as a Rocket Mortgage? Is there different paths they can go down?
There are absolutely different paths. So if you were to just go to quickenloans.com, you'll see the Rocket Mortgage path there. But we know Rocket Mortgage isn't for everyone, and we know that some folks still want the knowledge and counseling of our mortgage bankers and to be able to figure out what their options are. And a lot of folks have, you know, special situations that maybe Rocket Mortgage doesn't support yet. So at quickenloans.com, you can connect with our mortgage banking team in lots of different ways, or you can go down the Rocket Mortgage experience.
Regis, do you have an established profile, meaning that understanding that Rocket Mortgage may not be a path for everyone and more of a traditional approach may be, has there been a profile established for both that could be beneficial to our listeners?
Well, you know, what we're seeing, we're actually kind of constantly surprised and impressed with how open people are to Rocket Mortgage. We're seeing all sorts of different folks use it. So really, it's about what that end consumer wants to do. And if they want to self-serve, or they want to see what their options are, or they want to sit down with their agent and see what their options are, Rocket Mortgage is absolutely there for that. Or if they want to have the expertise and advice of someone walking through the process with them, our mortgage banking team's ready for that too.
And as automated as the process is today, is it the intent or design to potentially displace mortgage bankers at some point or replace them in the process?
Absolutely not. We look at it as, the mortgage banker plays a super vital role in guiding and advising lots of clients, especially those with more complicated situations. And there's always going to be people who would rather speak to a person and make sure they're doing the right thing. That said, there's a growing number of people who want to do everything or at least part of the process online, which is why we built Rocket Mortgage.
Very good.
Talk for just a minute about are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Regis, are you able to hear me okay? Okay, all right. Lot going on, and everybody has all these questions, but talk for me a minute. I want to get really clear on the approval process. So once the approval happened, it said that I can get my pre-qual letter, and that's sent electronically right to me at the moment of approval that I can then give to my agent or use when I'm presenting an offer?
That's correct. So that pre-approval, or I'm sorry, that pre-approval letter is based on that approval that we just got online there through Fannie or Freddie or FHA or VA. You know, when it comes to the underwriting of a loan, Rocket Mortgage doesn't change the rigor of the underwriting process at all. What we've done is we've just made it faster and more efficient.
So what's the, you know, realistically from approval to close, what are you seeing as far as timelines go from when a client gets approved and when they can actually close?
Yeah, so we've consistently closed the majority of our loans in 30 days or less, and we've seen Rocket Mortgage actually shaving 7 to 10 days off that process, especially if people import information up front, as I showed with that the income import there and the asset import, where we can get those verifications up front. It makes the entire process so much more efficient, and so what that means is a faster process and faster closings.
Yeah, by the way, these questions are coming from our listeners that are piping in, and there's tons of questions coming in, and so I'm just going to kind of rattle them off as I see a trend as the questions come in. I hope you don't mind me doing that. Talk about the relationship that the real estate agent can have with the Quicken Loans person on the other side of it, on the other side of the transaction.
Sure, Tom, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean the relationship. There's a couple of things that can happen, right? So you have the dedicated team. We know that real estate agents want like a good single point of contact to get their information and get their answers. But certainly clients using Rocket Mortgage, where we're eliminating pay stubs and bank statements, that allows the opportunity for us to be able to talk about the rest of the process, talk about, you know, what we need to get things done. We're not chasing documents, right? So we can have a better process going forward from that point. So I think that, you know, that combined with agent insight, so they know who they're working with and who that direct contact is, will make it a lot easier within the process.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it kind of opens up there's kind of a thread of questioning talking about logistics of the transaction, you know, like having options like, you know, interest rates going up during the process, or having a lender pay some of the closing costs, or some of the things that we deal with as agents as we're putting transactions together. Is that all open? Do we have ability to have that kind of interaction and communication through the approval process?
Absolutely, and you know that's something that we would continue. You know, Reed just talked about some things and some circumstances that, you know, may not yet be supported inside a Rocket Mortgage around, you know, seller concessions, lender credits, relocation benefits, those types of things. So setting up with that direct agent relations team and being able to have that communication, and then in the future being able to provide that information through agent insight. Absolutely, but of course we know not every loan is done the same way, right? They all start out the same way, where we need to determine the qualification of the client. But yeah, there'll be other things where we're able to dedicate now this communication between our agent relations team and the real estate agents out there to solve those types of things, right? To handle those things up front earlier in the process, rather than finding out about them towards the end of the process and then, you know, facing some sort of TRID delay because of that. We can do this a lot earlier.
You bring up TRID and compliance and all of those things. Talk to me a little bit about compliance and how this simplifies the process and keeps everybody in compliance during the transaction.
Well, Reed just did us a favor. He gave us 7 to 10 days back. And so if you can knock 7 to 10 days off the process, what you're doing is you're just advancing where you start, right? You're farther along. You're starting farther ahead than the rest of the industry out there. So, you know, TRID for me, whether it's with Rocket Mortgage, without Rocket Mortgage, is all about being prepared, right? And setting expectations right at the very beginning. Being able to follow the status on Agent Insight as well. What we should be eliminating are TRID delays that are a surprise to everyone, right? There are going to be some delays that we just cannot control. And we've seen some of that happen since TRID started in early October. But it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. That's something that we should know, you know, 10, 15 days before the scheduled closing date. And the beauty with that is if we know that and we're communicating that and the agents are aware of that, we can proactively come up with an extension to support that, right, where it's not happening in the 24th hour and everybody gets upset. We've got some time there to say, look, because of a repair that needs to be done, we know about this now, we're going to push this out, 7 more days. It's a lot easier of a pill to swallow when you find that out early in the process than towards the end. So I think just being prepared and having those expectations set up front, and if you are using Rocket Mortgage, then yeah, we've got an extra 7 to 10 days to play with. Thanks, Regis.
Well, no problem, Tom. And I think the other thing to mention there too is, we all know it as TRID, but really the spirit of the idea of know before you owe, Rocket Mortgage gives clients the tools to be able to know that. You saw when I showed the solution screen there, all the detail, so that there's full transparency, and then in that situation specifically, we didn't have a property address yet. In the situation where someone has a signed purchase agreement and wants to use Rocket Mortgage to get a mortgage, that process, everything is fully TRID compliant. So whenever there is the need to have a loan estimate, that's automatically generated in that application package. It's there for the client. All of the necessary rules about compliance are all followed and met to a T with the way we've built Rocket Mortgage. It's one of the reasons we spent 3.5 years on it, is we had to get everything right.
So you guys where are you as far as online mortgage companies in your innovation and bringing a product like this to the market? I haven't seen anything that's this fast or that really goes through the intense back office with a really easy user interface like this. I mean, you guys must be pretty proud of the fact that you're first to market with this kind of a speed and process.
Absolutely. We don't believe there's anything else like this out there. It works in all 50 states, and when we think about our competitors, we really don't. We think about our clients, and we just keep building and innovating for them. We have a philosophy of every client every time, no exceptions, no excuses, and that's what you'll see with Rocket Mortgage too.
Daryl, one of the things that RISMedia has always been at the forefront of is kind of bringing new things to the real estate vertical. Both the broker side and the agent side. When you look at what's happening with Rocket Mortgage and Quicken Loans, how do you think this is going to affect the industry?
No, you're absolutely right, Verl. I think understanding that most realtors have solid mortgage relationships that are already in place, some more recent than others, and some relationships going back decades. But in order to not set off talking about the compliance-related issues, any particular CFPB alarms of any sort, this value proposition by Rocket Mortgage could certainly be an excellent complement to an existing lending relationship where it provides the consumer with clear, multiple home financing choices. So I think that's really where we saw it. One, the scope of and the magnitude of the opportunity, the complement to the traditional mortgage lending process. I think it's a huge opportunity to both stay compliant as well as to streamline the overall mortgage experience on behalf of the consumer.
Yeah, I completely agree. So Regis, just because I got you and I've got you here for a minute, you're the guy written the technology and the innovation. What's next? I mean, what do we see coming down the pipeline? Let's pretend like no one else is listening. Tell me what's coming up.
Oh, I appreciate the question, Verl. So what I can tell you is we are absolutely just getting started. We've got a plan that goes at least 3 years out into the future. We've got a mobile app for Rocket Mortgage on iOS and Android that is live out there right now. And all of these things are just going to keep getting better and faster and smarter.
I think it's really smart as real estate agents and brokers to align yourselves with people who are innovators in the business, and you guys are true innovators. Are you seeing my screen? My GoToWebinar control panel is frozen, and so I can't tell if you're seeing my screen or not.
It says, "Thank you for attending. Get your free gifts."
Okay, so you're seeing my other screen. That's okay that you see that. I want you to write down this landing page. It's workmansuccess.com/rocket. And just as a gift for those of you that are attending today, we put together a couple things that are values to you. You'll be able to get a copy of today's presentation, so the slide notes, the questions, and the talking points of today's webinar, and it'll be available instantly for a download. And we put together a fun video called Overcoming Objections Vrl Style, and it's flat out how to close more transactions by understanding how people give objections, loving objections, and having great dialogue to overcome objections, resolve concerns, and just flat out dominate. In conjunction with what Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgages have done for you, the ability to dominate in your market is what we're all about, and helping people do that. And of course, you can always get a free coaching consult on how to take your business to the next level. My big challenge to everybody that's on the call today is to try Rocket Mortgage. You know, experience is the best teacher. I like to say to my soccer kids that the best teacher is the game. It's to get out on the field and actually play the game and to get into it and do it. And so go into rocket.quickenloans.com /RISMedia. Go in there, sign up for an account. Next time you're with a buyer, when you're with someone who isn't sure whether or not they can buy a home, and you're not sure whether or not you want to spend time driving them around to countless properties, get on the app, have the client go through the process, and while you're looking at houses to go look at, they should be going through that approval process. You have your list of 8 houses, they have their pre-approval, let's go find them a house and get it done, instead of making it a 3 or 4 day process. And I think that's really the beauty of kind of everything coming together. Is there specific information or action items, Regis, that you'd like agents and brokers to take as a result of understanding what Rocket Mortgage is all about today?
Yeah, absolutely, Vrl. I think one of the things that they can do is, you know, on the screens we looked at today, there was a link at the top of every single one of those pages that said talk to us, and that's where you can call or chat with our mortgage bankers. But there's also a survey link there where you can provide feedback, and everyone from myself to our team of innovators to our CEO is looking at all that feedback that comes in. So if anyone on this webinar has feedback as you go through it, we are absolutely listening, and we read every single one.
I appreciate that. Daryl, would you like to kind of summarize things for us today and bring us home?
Sure, I'll just do a quick little recap, Vrl. I appreciate it. Just going back to the compliance-related issue with respect to TRID, we've referred to it a number of times, also known as the TILA-RESPA Integrated Disclosure Rule. Obviously, that is intended to make mortgages much more transparent and easier to understand for the end consumer. And with respect to our real estate community, you know, specifically the realtors, brokerage firms, as well as the end consumers, we're all going to be affected by this change. So we have a series of new forms, different timelines, as well as modified procedures to adhere to. And going back to Tom's point in terms of how to be a little more proactive, just according to the National Association of Realtors, if just 10% of transactions experience some type of closing issue due to TRID, that's as many as 40,000 plus transactions per month, which is a huge number, and that's only 10%. Let's face it, 90% are not going to be perfection, so that 10% is going to rise dramatically, and that gives our realtor professionals the opportunity to further engage with their clients to be side by side along with the mortgage process, as well as the overall home purchase or home selling process, to establish much deeper engagement with our clientele. In terms of just a quick recap on Rocket Mortgage, number one, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Regis, they are fully underwritten mortgages. They follow all FHA, VA, and conventional loan guidelines. There are no assumptions. You're getting exactly the customized solution. Specifically, Rocket Mortgage was created for clients to go as fast as you'd like to go or as slow as you'd like to take it throughout the entire mortgage process. And back to Tom's point earlier, we're really focused on a new demographic here of clients that were really never reached before, and those individuals who would prefer to sit on the sidelines and see what they can qualify for, collect information without actually having to speak to a mortgage banker, let alone a realtor. Gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add?
That's absolutely right, Daryl. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Tom and Regis, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for sharing this cool technology and the innovation that Quicken Loans has developed. It's going to be fun to see what comes next down the pipeline. It's going to be fun to actually use it in real estate transactions. We'll continue to provide you with great feedback and appreciate what you're doing for the industry as you're really looking out for the consumer's best interest. And that's what we all have in mind, is we want to make the home buying experience better for everybody so people continue to buy houses, and we continue to be at the center of that interaction. So thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks for the great technology, and thanks for all your insight today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Verl, and thanks to all the listeners for taking time out of their busy days to learn more.
On behalf
Appreciate
of
it. Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. On behalf of RISMedia, Workman Success Systems, and the entire Quicken Loans team, everybody have a great rest of the month, and let's make this 2016 our best year ever in real estate. And with Quicken Loans, I think we're gonna have the ability to do that a lot better. So thanks again, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.